Dilen, so when you start a business, you're starting a business to make money. But obviously there's a vision behind that as well. Do you think a lot of entrepreneurs, they start off their businesses just thinking about the money, so that when things get tough, they just kind of give up and they move to the next thing and the next thing?
I'm going to say something very controversial here.
Please do. So when you first started Pepper Street, what was that value you wanted to give people? What was the problem you guys were trying to solve in the market?
When COVID hit, we realized that once COVID was over, there's not going to be a lot of international brands in the country.
So you saw that coming?
Yes, we saw that coming.
Right.
Even if you go to an international brand store right now, the cost of a product is triple the amount of what we are offering. We saw that opportunity and we were like, let's give something similar to what these brands are offering and create something of value. And then
I know that a lot of people have a lot of loyalty to Pepper Street. You have built like a community. That's not something easy for any brand to do.
if it wasn't for the community of Pepper Street wouldn't have been where it is today at this point in time. The most important thing we did was, I honestly don't think a lot of entrepreneurs do that. Usually in fashion, it takes 3 months to pull off a collection. Even if we are planning a collection next month, if we listen and think, okay, our customers, people who are buying from us don't like this product, we drop it. We don't launch it. You're going to end up with dead stock.
Right.
That's the death of your brand.
Could you just tell us a little bit more about that?
The customer journey. Not the journey that we learn when we study marketing. I'm speaking about the journey they are going to make from a different company to yours.
Right. Okay. Tell me more about that. Welcome back, guys, to the episode 2 of the Founder Stories podcast. This is a podcast where we talk to different entrepreneurs who have interesting businesses and find out how they've built their business. So if you're an entrepreneur out there, you can learn to integrate this into your business. And today, I'm talking to a very interesting guest who has changed and disrupted the Sri Lankan clothing market. They've done something that a lot of brands have not been able to do in the clothing market. And he is the CEO and founder of Pepper Street, Dilen Fernando. Dilen, welcome to the podcast.
Hi Damita, how are you?
I'm good. Dilen, so one thing I really want to talk to you about is, so you went to Royal College in your early studies and then after that you studied marketing. During that time, did you know that you wanted to be an entrepreneur or did you want to start a business?
That's a very good question. So when I was schooling, of course I didn't know that I wanted to be an entrepreneur. And at the same time, it was not anywhere in my mind when I was in school. But then something that I realized along the way was that when I was in school, I was an entrepreneur without knowing that I was. You know, ever since I was a kid, I used to sell different kinds of stuff, used up phones, and, I've done multiple businesses.
Right, the typical entrepreneur.
But then not to like be like the entrepreneur I am today, or be like a person who wanted to build a specific company, but it's more like, I want to make an extra buck kind of thing. And I've sold phone covers, I've sold furniture, I've sold fake t-shirts from PETA. And so, I don't have problem in telling any of these things, because actually that is what built the story up even before I started. And it was mostly not, when you asked me the question why I said it was a good question, is because being an entrepreneur is not something you should force yourself into. It's something that should come out of you, and like you should move into it in a smooth manner. You shouldn't force yourself into, being an entrepreneur. And if you are forcing yourself into being an entrepreneur, I honestly feel like it's something that you're not going to like in the long term.
That's interesting that you said that, because we had a guest on last time. So I like to ask this question. Do you think entrepreneurship is a learned skill, or is it something that you're born with? Because you mentioned that it has to come from within. What do you think?
Okay. So there are honestly both the type of entrepreneurs. There are entrepreneurs who have learned. There are entrepreneurs who have not learned and are doing well. But I honestly think entrepreneurship is not something that you can learn. And it might be a personal opinion. Someone else might have a different opinion. But my personal opinion is entrepreneurship is not from books. And I can tell you that because I was in school, I've done my higher studies, and I'm probably using 10% of what I learned in my day-to-day life at this point in time. By the way, I'm not discouraging anyone to not study. But
Go to school, everyone.
Go to school, guys. But what I'm saying is, entrepreneurship is something to do with your character. And most importantly, I think the most important aspect in being an entrepreneur is your character. Because you have to be refined and be able to go through the hard times and the good times at the same scale. if you depend only on learning how to become an entrepreneur, you don't have the capability to manage the bad times and the good times the same way.
Right.
If I'm struggling with something, I have to be able to manage it the same way I will manage when I am doing well. And it is an integral part in your character that will come out of you and say, look, if you got through this, you have the capability to get through this as well. And entrepreneurship is all about solving problems and taking up challenges. That's all. People say entrepreneurship is taking risks, but taking risks are embedded in these two things: solving problems and taking on challenges. And I feel like none of those two things can be done if you don't have character. And character cannot be learned. It should come out of you from inside. So yeah, that's basically.
I love that answer. And something
Thanks.
you said there was really, really resonated with me. You said whether it's the good times or the bad times, you have to basically approach it the same way. When you're doing running Pepper Street, especially in the beginning, do you remember any like real pivotal moment that was so tough where maybe it became really tough for you, maybe even doubted yourself, but you kind of carried on the same way? Was there any moment like that you remember?
You asked me if there was any moment. There have been multiple, right? And so many moments where I would say that the company would have not done well or not come to the place where it is today, because it's all in decision making and how consistent you are at whatever the decision you make is the most important part. Because when you asked whether there have been any pivotal moments in my journey, yes, there have been so many. And it's just that, in fact, I would say that the hard times were more than the good times.
So you had more hard times than the
More
good
hard
times.
times than the good times.
Yeah.
And that's something that you need to be prepared for if you want to be an entrepreneur. I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just out there, and I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs, a lot of billionaires don't talk about that side of being an entrepreneur. And to anyone who listens to someone like that, they think it's just an easy road.
They only see the end, the success, and all the glamour of
Exactly.
it, but no one talks about how difficult it is.
How difficult it is.
80% of the time, it sucks. It really sucks.
Definitely. I would say I wouldn't say, okay, it sucks meaning it does. But, when you set up a vision for yourself and a vision for your company or whatever you're building, that vision has to fuel you. And if you don't have the capability to look at that vision, no matter what you're going through, and you don't feel like it's fueling you, that means you shouldn't have that vision in the first place.
It's a wrong vision.
It's a wrong vision.
Yeah.
So if I want to get somewhere, and if I don't feel excited looking at the destination while I'm on the way, there's no point of the destination.
Yeah, you're going to the wrong place.
You go to the wrong place. So I strongly believe that this tough side of entrepreneurship should be spoken about more. But that is not to discourage aspiring entrepreneurs, but it is to encourage them and prepare them for whatever that they can take.
Right.
Rather than rather than encouraging them to start whatever they want to start, not knowing what's coming at them.
Yeah, exactly. Because a lot of people start businesses thinking that, I'm going to work on my own time, it's going to be great. But then reality hits them like a couple of months later, and they get discouraged because they think something I'm doing is wrong. But thing is, it's happening to every single entrepreneur out there.
It's very true. Because most importantly, when you look at entrepreneurship, people think, okay, I have my own time, I'm going to work, I can work 4 hours a day, go to the gym, chill, it's paradise, and all that. But honestly, I don't know about any other entrepreneur, but when I was building my businesses, I've probably slept 5 hours a day and work the rest of the hours. And to be completely honest with you, look, I don't want to tell you things that I'm not doing and just make it look like another magical, paradise. Even at this point in time, you can ask anyone, I work the same way. And it's from morning to evening. Of course, I have more time than I did before because I have the capability to delegate now, which I didn't have when I started. But I still work the same way. Because this is what you need to, what everyone needs to understand is it's not something that you can do for 2 years and chill. It's a lifestyle.
Yeah.
And you have to keep beating your craft. And if you keep beating your craft, maybe someday you will master it. But if someone is planning on starting a company and then, okay, maybe work two days a week and then I want to retire by the time I'm 30. Okay, if you're like a crypto, like a one night millionaire, yes, of course, maybe it will work for you.
Yeah.
But I mean, the old school way of doing business and all that, I feel like you need to work really hard.
And I completely agree. And also crypto, they're just, millionaires on Instagram. Like, it still doesn't happen in 6 months. It's just not, it's not practical.
Honestly, when you said crypto, I've seen, actually, on social media, I see so many people who are selling these courses and these drop shipping courses.
Oh, I know a few personally.
Yeah. So, but honestly, I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but honestly, I haven't seen anyone around me who has become successful doing any of these courses. It's just that it's out there and people are just trying to make some money out of what they're trying to sell. But I feel like, see, that's the thing. When you force entrepreneurship onto yourself, you might end up with the wrong thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like if you do that, you might get caught to one of these schemes or maybe a pyramid scheme or something. I know so many people who have gotten caught to pyramid schemes and lost their money. I mean, they say, okay, today you invest this much, tomorrow you get 50%.
Do you think that comes from like a lot of entrepreneurs? Like you talked about the vision, like you have to have a vision that takes you through the good times, the bad times, all of this. Do you think some entrepreneurs, again, when you start a business, you're starting a business to make money, but obviously there's a vision behind that as well, probably a bigger picture. Do you think a lot of entrepreneurs, they start off their businesses just thinking about the money, so that when things get tough, or maybe they're not making money in the short term, they just kind of give up and they move to the next thing and the next thing and next thing? What do you think about that? When people jump to so many things, do you think you can actually build a business like that?
I'm going to say something very controversial here.
Please do.
Maybe you can decide to put it live or not. Yeah. But I'm going to, if you're in business just to make money, and if adding value to someone's life and seeing that and being happy about it is not working for you, you shouldn't be in business. Because that's not going to keep you going. Because you're not going to make money as soon as you start a business. It's plainly out there. And the pivotal part in starting a business shouldn't be making money. I mean, it might be easier said than done. Obviously, everyone wants to make money. But I personally don't think it's the most primary, it should be the most primary goal. It should be to create value, offer a valuable product, and at the same time make money out of that or solve a problem. So I feel like if you don't want to do any of those three things but just make money out of something, you shouldn't be an entrepreneur. Maybe you can be a deal maker or like a guy who just does deals.
We'll have that exact term, guy who just does deals.
I mean, I'm just saying I'm not like saying it in a bad way, but there are some people who makes a lot of money making deals. Yeah. Trust me. Like that's the difference that people need to understand. Being an entrepreneur and being an intermediary I wouldn't say an intermediary, being a guy who does good deals are two different things. If I'm someone who wants to just make a deal out of something and make some money, I wouldn't be having people working for me. I wouldn't be having any of the things that I have right now. I just be myself, no overheads. I'll just sell something and make some money. But there are people who makes a lot of money like that.
For sure, yeah.
And that's not a wrong thing. But I'm saying, when you ask me the question, if it's something to do with entrepreneurship, it's honestly not a deal. It's probably a deal that you make with for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, you're building something. Yeah, you're building something that lasts for a long time.
Yes.
So, in having said that, now you said that in terms of entrepreneurship, it's about building something. So, when you first started Pepper Street, what was that value you wanted to give people? What was the problem you guys were trying to solve in the market? Because back then, there were no other real clothing brands doing what you're doing right now.
When we started Pepper Street, we were already in the manufacturing industry, and we saw a gap in the market where we wanted to see people wearing good clothes. Like usually before we started this entire trend of athleisure and streetwear and all kinds of stuff, people used to just go out to retail stores and buy whatever that was there. And honestly, people didn't have the demanding capability because the amount of styles, the amount of silhouettes, the amount of development in terms of products were very less. And mass scale retailers were selling in very big scales, but it's just that people are just buying the stuff that are there in the market. And at the same time, when in 2021, I think, when COVID hit, we realized that once COVID was over, there's not going to be a lot of international brands in the country.
So you saw that coming?
Yes, we saw that coming.
Right.
And obviously the brand was there even through COVID. But honestly, I don't think anyone really knew what Pepper Street was during COVID. So what we saw coming was once the lockdowns and everything was over, we saw the dollar going up every day. So obviously we understood that the international product is going to, the cost is going to be doubled up. So right. Even if you go to an international brand store right now, the cost of a product is probably triple the amount of what we are offering in the market. And we saw that opportunity and we were like, let's give something similar. I don't want to mention names, but let's give something similar to what these brands are offering and create something of value. And then we came up with the idea. Once we started executing, we started innovating with our products, right? So honestly, it was something very easy that we did in the initial stages. We didn't do much. We didn't have all these laboratories trying out, different kinds of chemicals trying to make fabric. What we did was we just got a product that was out there that was being sold in the international market. We developed it and we made it better, right? So when we did that, we understood, okay, now this seems like a good strategy to go forward for a certain amount of time. Because the good product is being made better.
Right, so you already know it works. You're just building on top of that.
Exactly. Right. So then it worked really well because people started loving the product. So what we did was something very simple. We got the product. We got the idea from somewhere else. Not that we copied. Yeah. We got the product and we made it better. It's at the end of the day, it's a T-shirt. And then once the product was good and we were getting good feedback, we developed the fabric from the beginning.
Right. Yeah? Got it. So before you started investing a lot into that in terms of starting from the ground up, you tested what worked, built on top of that and tested the market out.
Correct. Because supply chain is the most expensive part of your business when it comes to clothing. You're going to spend 80% of your entire product price on raw material, right? So if you don't know the product will sell, there's no point of developing the raw material needed for that product, right? So what we did was we developed the product. And then we knew that, okay, now our customer base, our community likes the product. And then we developed the garment from scratch, which means starting from the yarn itself, the thread.
Right.
And then it goes to knitting and then the fabric gets knitted. So we customize every single process in that entire development process. And then we reintroduce the product. As I'm sure a lot of people might have noticed when we launched Elite Crew, the Elite Crew collection was technically us giving the same product we used to sell with a better fabric.
Right, got it, okay.
Yes. So, and then we got better feedback. Obviously, it was a little expensive than the previous one, but then we tried to give like a premium product at a good price. And we always try to make the product affordable and to be able for everyone to afford it, because we want people to wear Pepper Street and understand that it's not just coming from a standpoint of increasing our sale or making some money out of what they buy, but it's mostly more like giving a good product at the same time.
Would you say that's like one of the key differentiating factors that really, because you built something like, there's a lot of clothing brands in Sri Lanka, but you guys have managed to stand out in the market. So is it, like you said, quality is one thing. Is there anything else you did, maybe from marketing to maybe what even the athleisure space you picked to stand out in the market, to create a brand that in a very crowded market, how do you stand out?
First, most important thing, when we started the brand, there was we couldn't find a lot of brands that were offering the products that we are offering. So we actually did have the first move advantage. But more than the first move advantage, the most important aspect of Pepper Street is Pepper Street comes directly from the factory. We have our own manufacturing plant. So there are no intermediaries who buys from us and sells, who buys from the manufacturer and sell. So because of that, we have the capability to invest a lot of time in the product itself. And at the same time, if you ask how we were able to stand out in the market when there were a lot of brands offering the same kind of product at that point in time, it was mostly consistency. And maybe you might have not expected that answer, but it was mostly us doing what we were doing best multiple amounts of time, like multiple times. If you've noticed, we launch something every month. We don't we love to make noise. And that noise is honestly what stood out at that point in time, because the initial launch, even to this day, I remembered, we expected a certain amount of sales, but no one bought it. Okay.
Right. Okay.
But then if it was someone else, maybe they would say, okay, this is not working, let's try something else. But what we did was since we understood that there was a market for that, we kept doing it multiple times.
Right.
And that is how the brand stood out, because the more people saw what Pepper Street was, and we always wanted to integrate the brand DNA into whatever content that we put out, so that people will get to know Pepper Street as it is, and not as something that anyone else is doing, but Pepper Street as just another independent person. So what goes behind the scenes, even in terms of strategy, even in terms of marketing, is we always want to integrate the brand DNA into whatever we do, even if it's a product. So if you think of Pepper Street, you will think of Pepper Street as your, like a friend. So I'm just something like that. So I feel like that is why the brand stood out.
Right. Interesting. You mentioned the DNA of the brand. In terms of finding that DNA, because that's something that's difficult to do. How did you go about doing that? Is that something you knew from the start, or did you form that as a team? How did you figure that out?
Your brand DNA should be something that is shared with yours. It cannot be something that you try to adapt from someone else and implement it on yours. If I speak about my brand DNA, it's actually a part of me. Right. And I will not, how do I say it? I will not wear a suit to a podcast like this. I would wear a sweatshirt. So it's something that I am passionate about. And I feel like that is what will take your brand a little bit more further than everyone else. Because then okay, this is something that is a part of me. And what I'm doing, the products that I'm introducing are stuff that I am also passionate about. So you will not sell a product that you don't like. Or you will not sell a product that causes cancer. I'm just saying, not that it happens, but I'm saying there are products that causes cancer.
Yeah, for sure. There's stuff every day.
Even clothing. Clothing, you might not believe me, but really? Even clothing. The reactive dye used in clothing, sometimes when it rubs on your skin, can cause cancer. And people don't know it. So if you're gonna wear what you're making, you're not gonna sell that.
If you're making stuff like that.
So because of that, your brand will go far. Did I answer your question?
You did.
Okay, good.
If an entrepreneur is starting out, because if he's starting out his business, what would you say maybe the first steps into figuring out that DNA of his brand?
Yeah. Figuring out the DNA comes from a lot of aspects. It might come from the background you're coming from. It might come from what you've studied. It might come from from something you've seen. I know a guy, not Sri Lanka. I know a guy who started a brand and he's doing really well right now, who liked Japanese culture when he went to Japan and came back home and started a brand.
Right. Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So that guy fell in love with Japan. Up to this day, thrice a year, he travels to Japan just to like spend time there because he likes everything that's done there. And he came back home. He started doing graphic tees, putting the Fukuoka mountain and the volcanoes and the dragons and all that, And the brand started doing really well. Right? So if you ask me how you decide what DNA your brand should have, it honestly should be something that you're drawn to. And trust me, if you are drawn to something, there's going to be another million people who's drawn to the same thing. There's 7 billion people in the world. So if you like something, for an instance, I love coffee. And if I love coffee, I'm not going to be the only one who likes coffee. There are millions of people in this world who loves coffee.
For sure, yeah.
Right? So because of that, I can sell coffee easily. But the sweet spot in terms of that question, the sweet spot there is you're selling something you're passionate about, and at the same time you're selling the product to people like you.
Right, just because you already know them.
Yeah, you already know
what
them.
they like, because they're like you. Yeah.
Exactly. So you know your target market better than everyone else.
Right.
So when you do that, it's very seamless and easy for you to develop your products. It's easy for you to communicate with your market, and it's easy for you to engage with your target market as well, because they will consider you as they will consider your brand as something they're so loyal to, and loyalty is something that you can't find these days.
So that's a very interesting thing you said. So their brand loyalty, because I know that a lot of people have a lot of loyalty to Pepper Street. They love to get clothing. You have built like a community. That's not something easy for any brand to do.
Yeah.
Is that something you guys have consciously worked on to achieve? And has it happened over time? Or have you guys have you done certain specific things to achieve that community?
We have done a lot of things to achieve, to have the community we have today. And even when we opened our outlet at the mall, we had so many people who were waiting till the store was opened. Like there was about 1,000 people, I think, outside the store. And what we told everyone was, we are so thankful for you guys because you guys are here, and you guys are honestly a part of our journey and a part of our brand. Because if it wasn't for the community of Pepper Street, Pepper Street wouldn't have been where it is today at this point in time. But the most important thing we did was communicate. And we wanted to build a growing community where people are felt. There are different ways brands can communicate to people, and we always we try to communicate to our community from so many things that we used to do. Even when it comes to products, even when it comes to every single collection, we involve 5 to 10 of our customers, in whatever we do. Every launch there's someone who's involved. Even when it's a sale, I myself go and speak to people at the store. I ask them whether they like the product. I ask them why they don't like the product. And recently about 3 to 4 months ago, I met someone. I was speaking at a store, and he was wearing a Pepper Street t-shirt, cut half, a raw cut hem.
Okay.
And I asked him whether he likes the product. He was like, yeah, bro, I love the product. Honestly, I love it. Then I realized that the product was different to what we sold. And I was like, how did you do this? And I was like, no, I took it home, I cut it, and then I washed it for it to get the finish it has. So now we are planning on launching that product.
Right, okay. So
you get what I'm saying?
All right, okay.
So that is how we built the community. And the community is honestly a part of our DNA, and we think about the community before we think about the product. Now.
Okay.
Because the product obviously is important, but if the community doesn't like it, we will not launch the product. And we always listen. If you work with me a week, you will know every day or every other day I have a call with my store manager or our warehouse manager or our designers to see what's moving fast, what are people buying, what are they telling about it. So we listen to the community, and we make changes accordingly. And even if we are planning a collection for next month, usually in fashion, it takes 3 months to pull off a collection.
3 months.
3 months.
Okay.
So, but even if we are planning a collection next month and the collection is planned to go out next month, if we listen and we think, okay, our customers, people who are buying from us don't like this product, we drop it. We don't launch it.
Right.
And we plan something else, and we make all kinds of changes. And fashion is always about, it's about change.
It's constantly changing.
It's a constant, it's not just fashion, it's any industry, I believe. But since I'm in fashion, I can tell you, it's an ever-evolving, ever-changing industry. And if you are not on the loop, and if you are not there on the loop every day, doing things to innovate your product, add value to your product, change how you offer your product, you will be irrelevant in no time.
So I love your answer, and I want to unpack. You said a lot. I want to unpack a few of those things. So one thing you said is you listen to your customers a lot. You're getting constant feedback. Do you think that's an absolute critical part of entrepreneurship, to get feedback from your customers? Do you think a lot of entrepreneurs do that?
I don't think a lot of entrepreneurs do that. I honestly don't think a lot of entrepreneurs do that. But I think it's the most important thing, that it's honestly a important aspect in your journey. If you're not offering a product that people don't like, if you are successful in creating a hype for the product, it will sell. Okay? First month it will sell, second month it will sell, third month it will sell, fourth month it will sell, fifth month you realize my hype is doing well, that means people like it, so let me increase the price. Right. The moment you do that, you're gone. Because people buy it because of the hype. It's like a mall that just, there are malls opening up everywhere, but you see millions of people visiting the mall for the first week, second week, third week. 2 months later, there's no one. Obviously, if you're a fashion brand or any product that you're offering, the product that you're offering, people will continue to buy it if they see the product online, if they think it looks good.
Yeah.
Right? But when they start using the product, they might realize, okay, this is not for me.
Right. Okay.
Right? And if you're not attentive enough, you will not know that person has made that decision. So you will be confident in your product, and there will come a time where you realize, okay, now my overheads are high because my sales are good, so let me go on and increase my price, so that my margins will increase and I can manage my overheads, and my net profit margins are also the same, right? So the moment you do that, people will stop buying, because they will realize, then only it hits them. They will I bought this for this price last month, I'm buying it again at this price, now let me look for an alternative.
Right. Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah. And also, I think that's also the importance of building that community.
Yeah.
Because when someone is not buying you just for the product versus buying for the brand, it's a big difference. Even if you increase that price, people are still investing for that brand.
Correct.
They want to be part of the brand. That's a very interesting point here.
It's honestly, we've seen some of our graphic tees on Facebook. Some people are, selling all these fakes and all that.
Right.
And what I was just thinking is, okay, maybe they actually like the graphic, but they like the brand, because that is why they want to do the fake t-shirt in that brand, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I'm not endorsing that anyone does fake, because it'll go to law. Yeah. But then most importantly, if you want to build a brand, that is important. That the person will not think about the small price difference, but still go for your brand if they really love it. Because a general customer, even when it comes to myself, I don't like a lot of change. Not in life, but in terms of what I am buying. If I'm using a certain toothbrush, I want to use it for the rest of my life.
Right, okay.
Okay?
Yeah.
If I'm using a certain brand of coffee every morning, I don't want to change the taste of my coffee every morning, because I have bigger things to worry about. And trust me, if the taste of my coffee changes one morning, it's like, it's gone. My day is over, So because of that, mostly if you are capable of creating a valuable product that shows reliability and value to the customer at the same time, they will not move and they will continue to buy from you. Because that is the most important thing a lot of entrepreneurs miss. They want to innovate too fast. If I give you an example, some entrepreneurs, they want to, if they launch a product this month, next month they don't want to do the same thing. They want to offer something different. And every product has a life cycle. And you need to understand the life cycle of the product, or else you're just losing. Because if people like the product and when they come back to your store and they don't find it, they're going to be disappointed. So I feel like it's very important that we have this community, but it's at the same time it's extremely important that you give something that the community wants, not
as
what
opposed to what you think they want.
Exactly. So because of, and then you lose your entire vision, because you say you started the brand wanting to do something like this, and then you keep innovating. Some entrepreneurs want to overdo it,
Yeah.
That's a strategy. That's not a theoretical strategy, but that's a strategy I tell a lot of people not to do.
Keep things simple.
Yes, keep things simple. Simplify the problem.
How did you manage to do that? Like, especially in the beginning, to stay focused on one brand or one product? Because again, like you said, shiny objects are going to come from everywhere.
Definitely.
How do you stay focused?
From the beginning, since I started the company, I set out a certain level of policies. Something like, I went home, I wrote it down on my diary. I said, I'm not going to do this, not going to do that, I'm going to do this, like that. So before I did any of, up to this date, I do the same thing. I have a journal, I write things on it. I mean, some people might think I'm crazy if they read it. But still, I like to always, if there is a problem, I like to get a pen, get a paper and write. And that helps me simplify the problem easily, right? I even have a massive whiteboard in my office so that I can just draw things and write things and all that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the question that you asked, I always believed that you shouldn't be a master of everything unless you're a master of one.
Right.
We see a lot of entrepreneurs who are extremely successful today who are running multiple companies, right? But I strongly believe that unless you don't have one company that is doing well, you don't have the authority. I wouldn't say authority, I'm sorry. You don't have the capability to go and invest in another. Right?
Especially with the time as well, time and focus.
With your time. Even if you're selling the most simple product in the world, there are so many things to be done to be able to bring that product to the maturity level that you expect. Right? If you know, okay, this is the potential of my product, and you stop halfway, and if you see a different type of business and you want to get into it, if you go, obviously when you asked me that question, I wanted to say there are so many opportunities and so many things that looked shiny along the way, of course. And there have been times that I have a business partner as well who has been very faithful, and that's something that I will come to later on. But it's we got a lot of opportunities, a lot of proposals and all that, but we kept saying no. If I was telling Basit the other day, which is my business partner, if we do say yes to something else, that means we don't believe in what we are selling. You get what I'm saying, right?
I do.
If we do say yes to an entirely different business model, an entirely different product, that means we don't believe in what we're doing.
You're not committing 100% into what you're doing right now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I strongly believe that Sri Lankan entrepreneurs have the capability to take whatever the product they're offering global.
Yeah, because we are so talented. The people here are so smart, so talented, but from what I've seen, they lack a lot of confidence in themselves that they can go global. Also, they don't see it enough. Because they see a lot of entrepreneurs who are like massive entrepreneurs, and they think, oh, they're talented, they're different. I'm not like them. So they don't see that vision. What do you think we can do to help people see that vision?
Most importantly, comparison can kill you. If you compare, you'll die. And because comparison will open a door to doubt. And doubt is what will kill you. No matter where I get to, or no matter how successful I become, there will be another person who's more successful than me.
It's always someone bigger, yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a given.
Yeah, it is.
Right?
Yeah.
Unless it's God. I mean, unless you're comparing yourself with God.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, when you compare yourself, you continue to doubt what you're doing. He's doing this, he's doing that, and then I come back to the conversation we had previously, and then you start adapting other people's DNA into yours. You know?
Just to get what that other person is
Correct.
having. You feel like, oh, he's doing so well.
Why don't I try doing that?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So then you start, now you have a good brand, you have a good product, your DNA is perfect, people like it, but now you start comparing. He's doing this, she's doing this, that and this, my mother is telling me to do this. So then you start thinking like them, when you don't even know how they think. You're now, you're in your head, you're just thinking.
Yeah, you don't know why they've made those decisions. You know
You
why
don't
they're
know.
doing this. You're just grabbing things from here and there.
Maybe the guy you're comparing to, his father might have been Bill Gates. I'm just saying, right? So you might not know.
Yeah.
So the moment you do that, you take that person's DNA into your product and your brand, and then you try to sell it again. Then what's going to happen is, you're not going to sell. You're going to fail. Because it's not something that you were offering before, and it's not something your customers like.
And they're going to notice it as well.
They're going to notice it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem a lot of fashion brands have today. It's out there, it's just that they're just trying to do, everyone is just trying to do the same thing. And if you don't innovate, you will be irrelevant in no time. So if someone wants to start a fashion brand, they have to be able to offer a different product. Or people don't have a reason to leave their loyal brand and come and buy from you.
You need to give them a reason.
Yes, but the moment if you offer an innovative product, and the moment they buy from you and they realize that, they have some good products, they might feel like cheating on their loyal brand.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's how you convert a customer. Right. And you need to worry about the journey, the customer journey. Most importantly, customer journey, not the journey that we learn when we study marketing. That's the journey when they come to the website or when they come to the store. I am speaking about the journey they are going to make from a different company to yours.
Right. Okay. Tell me more about that. Yeah.
So that's honestly something that is not in books. I mean, it's something that I tell a lot of people that speaks to me. You need to worry about before offering the product. You need to know how you are capable of bringing this person from where they are to you. And if you are not capable of doing that, you can't sell. Because when Pepper Street started, there were million clothing brands in this country. And I was talking to one of my friends who wanted to start a new business, and my friend, he was telling me, Machan, how do I do this? Because there are so many people who's doing the same thing, and there are so many companies who are offering this same product. So how do I do this? Then I said, that is where the problem is. The problem is that you're worried about starting the company because everyone else is doing it. But you're not worried about how, if you start the company, how you get that person there to yours. And if you don't have to always innovate the product as well. This can be a secret that I'm giving a lot of people. You don't have to always offer an innovative product. You can innovate that journey.
Okay.
You can innovate the experience. Right?
Okay.
I'll give you the perfect example. I mean, it's out there, and there's no problem of me. We are doing this to help a lot of people, and I understand. So when we did a launch called Cosmic Adventure recently, and it was about 2 months ago. It was a graphic tee that we launched with astronauts at the back and all kinds of stuff. We decorated the entire store for it to look like a universe. We put neon lights, we put spotlights, we put, these planets revolving around, and all these, what do you call the star signs, right? Star signs, and we got a DJ. So maybe you can say, okay, now we are offering a graphic tee. It's a t-shirt. It's a graphic t-shirt. But now we have not innovated the product, but we have innovated the experience.
Right.
You get it?
Yeah.
So people, when they see the store, they're like, let's go in there and see what's happening, because it's dark and there's like lights all around the place. So let's go inside. And then they come in and they like the DJ, they see the process, and
So it's a lot more than just buying a t-shirt.
Exactly.
Literally you're selling an experience and a product.
Correct. So sometimes you don't have to innovate the product. Maybe you can innovate the experience. And that's what a lot of skincare companies do at these days. Honestly, I mean, no matter how much skincare my wife takes me to, it's the same thing that I get at the end of the day. but still, maybe when you go to a certain place, they might give you a hot towel before starting the process.
Yeah. It's just the experience and how they package it together is just different.
Exactly.
I mean, the exact same product, but packaged in a different way.
Exactly. Yeah. That makes a big difference. And now, honestly, in this ever-evolving industry, in this ever-evolving market, sometimes you might come to a halt at a point where you say, okay, now I can't give an innovative product because it's already there, because everything is already there. What do I do now? Then you go back, you innovate the experience, and you make the product, you couple up the product with the service. So, yeah.
That's very interesting, because a lot of people, I think, especially fashion brands, because a lot of people are starting t-shirt brands and different things. They don't really think about that experience part. They think, okay, I'll put up a website, sell my product. But they ignore that experience completely. How did you start thinking about that custom experience versus just, okay, I'm just going to sell a product? How did you kind of figure that out?
It's mostly, we were always at a place where we told ourselves that we want the customer to have the demanding power. When you asked me initially, why did you decide and what's the gap that you saw in the market? It was the retailer offering the product that they wanted before we came into the industry.
Right.
And the person used to go, just walk around, see if they like it or not, and even if they don't like it, if it's cheap, they'll just buy it,
Because you didn't have a choice.
Yeah. And you have to always make your brand approachable.
Approachable. Okay.
Approachable meaning, if I have a customer and the customer buys something from me, and if he doesn't have a way to tell me whether he likes it or not, or whether there is a problem with the product, you will not grow.
Because you don't know what the customer thinks, if he likes it, if he doesn't like it. That feedback loop is not there.
It's not there. And you're going to end up with dead stock.
Right.
That's the death of your brand. Dead stock is the death of your brand.
Okay. Because I'm not in the fashion space, I'm not very familiar with that. Could you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah. So when it comes to dead stock means it's your money that is lying in your inventory. And it's the inventory that hasn't moved.
Right.
So when your inventory has not moved and you're looking at it at your warehouse, that means the stock is dead.
Right.
So what some fashion brands try to do is they try to, run sales and all kinds of stuff and sell the product. But if people don't like the product, they don't even buy it on sales. I'll tell you why that happens also. Why that happens is, no matter what product you're offering, there's always someone offering it cheaper than you. The moment someone realizes, okay, there's a market for this product, let me just put it cheaper than this and make some sales.
Right. Okay.
So even if you put a sale, that guy is still offering it cheaper than you. So you're not going to sell if they don't like the product.
It's just a race downwards in price.
Yeah. And then your stock is slowly going to die. So two most important aspects if anyone is planning on starting a fashion brand. Make sure you don't have dead stocks, and make sure you always keep your style, quantity per style at a minimal level.
Quantity per style at a minimal level.
Of course, when you start
Okay.
the brand.
Okay.
Because if you meet a manufacturer that is a big manufacturer, and they will say, I am okay with 1,000 units per style, right? And you will say, okay, these guys are good quality, they have all the good products, all the good fabric, let me just work with these guys, invest, get some money from my father, invest, or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how most of us start. The moment you invest in one style, 1,000 units, you need to find 1,000 people to buy it.
1,000 people to like that particular style.
Exactly.
Right.
But instead, if you have the capability to lower your quantity and do 100 units per style and do 10 different styles in that 1,000, you will be selling to 10 different people, 10 different types of people.
And you also have 10 opportunities to know which one works.
Exactly.
So later on when you can double down on what works.
Then
Brilliant.
what you need to do is, maybe you can't launch a fashion brand if you're not willing to lose money initially. That's how it is. But how you start making money is, for an example, if we take you launch 10 styles, and just like you said, there are 4 styles that people like. You restock those 4 styles and you keep selling them. And slowly move the styles that are not selling to the discount counter.
Right.
Okay. So the moment you do that, if you were offering the t-shirt or a product that is not selling for 2,000 and you're giving it for 500 rupees, it's just an example. Maybe when they come to buy the product they like, they will see the cheaper one on discount and go and buy it.
Right. Got it. Yeah.
So the moment you do that, people will slowly start wearing your brand. And the next most important aspect is, don't do big branding, try to show your brand off to people, and that shouldn't be the goal. Because when you're launching a brand, people don't know about you. So there is no straightforward, cutthroat, there is no way that anyone would want to wear your brand in the first place. I mean, it was the same case for even Pepper Street when we started. Because they didn't know what the brand was. They didn't know what we stand for. They didn't know our story. They didn't know where the products were coming from. So no one wanted to wear your brand. So it's very rarely that you expect, unless it's your mother and your father and your sister, you'd expect a stranger to wear a massive print mentioning your brand name on the t-shirt.
Right. Because I see a lot of fashion brands these days, they have the print right in the middle, and from day one they're just marketing heavy.
And they're spending a lot of money on the marketing.
Yeah.
But people have so many options right now. So even if you spend on marketing, you're not going to sell. So most importantly, if you're planning on starting a fashion brand, try to keep the branding minimal and offer a good product, right? I'm not saying not to brand. Of course, there should be some kind of branding, or else there's no value, because you're building an asset. Your brand is your asset. But when you offer a minimal product, people will buy it for the product and try it on. And that's what we did. And that's what we continue to do. But now we do have now people actually want to wear, people like
the brand.
And they like the brand, they love the brand. A lot of people love it, so they want to wear our brand on the t-shirt. But when we started, we didn't do all these big prints with the branding on the chest or the back or whatever. It was just one tiny label here, one tiny 2-inch label here.
Okay. And you think, entrepreneurs right now, they rush to build the brand versus getting a product and refining it so well that's something that the customer really wants?
It's just that, the most important thing that the biggest problem that a lot of fashion entrepreneurs face at this point in time is not branding. It's manufacturing. And I've noticed this a lot of times, and a lot of people who comes and speaks to me, who ask me, how do I start this, how do I start that? What I've noticed is they can't find reliable manufacturers. And in Sri Lanka, it's very hard. And the moment you import something from China or wherever, you can't sell it here because it's going to be so expensive with duty. Right? So you need to find a reliable manufacturer before you even start your marketing. You can't start a factory. Right?
Too much of investment.
It's more than the investment is too much of work.
Too much of work.
Yeah, because it involves labor.
Right.
It's a labor-intensive industry. So if you start a factory, you might as well run a factory, not a brand.
It's a completely different business in itself. Right?
It's a completely different business, right? The only reason why we are capable of having our own plant is because we are two people and not just myself. Honestly, if I was running the business on my own, I wouldn't be able to do both the processes because they are all both so hard.
Right.
Right?
It takes completely different mindsets and approach to both of them.
Of course, you can't be creative if you're running a factory. It's a labor intensive. It's a proven path where you keep doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And you work for efficiency. Because the moment you lose efficiency in a factory, you start losing. The needle has to be going up and down.
Right.
Right? While you run for that, you don't have the space to be creative. Because to be creative, your mind should be free.
You need that space, you need that time to be creative.
Something that a lot of people miss at this when they start businesses is this whole creativity aspect. Because they get lost in all the operations that they're doing. Hiring this one, hiring this one, outsourcing this project, doing this, doing that. And they get so lost in the work. When they go home, they're so tired, obviously. So they lose the entire creative aspect. You can't come and say, okay, now I couldn't be creative for the past 6 months. Let me start being creative now. By that time, you're gone. By that time, you're irrelevant in the industry. Yeah. Right? So I strongly believe that if you are an entrepreneur, you should have at least 1 or 2 hours every day. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. And maybe it's something that you like. Maybe meditating, maybe praying, or maybe, I don't know, just looking at a waterfall or something. I don't know. I mean, whatever you do to...
You're going very zen now.
Whatever you do to feel peaceful, you do it while being creative. Think about your company, think about your business, but when your mind is at peace, you are capable of being creative.
Completely agree. But I think a lot of the entrepreneur, that hustle culture is all about, every hour of the day we got to work, phone calls, deal, there's nothing else. So people don't talk enough about, hey, you actually do need that time. How important is that? Especially if we say at the beginning of a business, how important is that?
I'll tell you how important it is. I can tell you what kind of an importance I give that in my life. That aspect. Honestly, just like you said, the hustle culture is definitely what I live for and what I live in, technically. Yeah. My screen time is probably 12 hours a day. And it's not me watching random YouTube videos, it's me on calls.
Right, yeah.
Okay, and it's me on calls, it's me checking what stories are being posted, sales, Shopify, production, all kinds of stuff, emails and all kinds of stuff. But there is a window in my day from 8:30 in the morning to 9:30 in the morning. I love coffee, so because of that I go to this very silent cafe that is close by to my place before I go to work. It's on the way to my factory. So I stop there 1 hour a day. I spend that time sipping my coffee for 1 hour specifically every day. So I give myself that 1 hour to think of whatever creative thing that I can think of at that point.
Right, whatever comes to you, that no disturbances, nothing, just that hour is locked in for you.
Nothing at all. It's just me thinking about being creative. And the product that comes to you might sound like it's out of place at that point in time. But then I go back to my office and I take some time and I put that into action. Why I do it like a ritual is because I have been able to crack so many things doing that. And it has worked wonders in my life. So because of that, I give that specific hour very a lot of importance during the day. Then after that hour is over, I get back to the grind, the thing that, everyone calls the grind.
Yeah.
But that's it. And then it's just the usual routine, just work. And then obviously I worked it really late and then gym. And then I get back home, have my dinner, sleep. Same thing.
Because part of when you have that routine without that creative time, it also feels like the day, you just repeat the day every single day. There's no value you're adding every single day. But when you have that creative time, like you said, you might get ideas, new direction for your brand, marketing. It can be anything, and that adds a lot of value to your brand.
Of course. Actually, that is the continuity of your business. Your survival comes from there. Because in any business, there is this theory where it's a theory that I've come up with, and I know it makes a lot of sense to a lot of people. In any ecosystem, you have to be able to survive before you thrive.
Survive before you thrive.
Thrive.
Right, yeah.
Okay? If you take any kind of animal, that when that animal is born into the ecosystem, the animal doesn't hunt first. It learns to hunt, and at the same time, it learns to protect itself. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Before starting to hunt. So if you don't know how to survive, you can't thrive. So your survival depends on how creative you are. And if you don't give importance to your creativity at all, you can run your business for about 2 to 3 years. Give it some time. And then someone else will come out and say, I'm offering a better product at a better price, come and buy from me. But by that time, it's too late.
What else do you think is most, if you can pinpoint 3 characteristics for an entrepreneur to be successful, what would those 3 be?
First thing is definitely consistency. If you are not consistent at anything, you will not be able to succeed. I mean, succeeding at any level. I will go from C, obviously it's consistency. Second thing is a blueprint. Blueprint is what you set before you start your journey.
Right.
And everything that you do with your blueprint, in mind, is what you'll do on a daily basis.
Right.
I'll give you an example, right? If you want to build a 800cc car, 800 engine capacity at 800cc, you will do everything in your capacity to build a car that has an engine of 800cc. But if your blueprint is to build a car with 2000cc, what you're going to do every day changes. Exactly. Now it's a bigger blueprint.
Right.
So because of that, the blueprint that you set before you start your journey is what is the car that you will run with. But there is nothing wrong in having a smaller blueprint. There are some people that I know. There are some people that I know who has had a very tiny kind of idea. I want to own. My blueprint is to have a sillara kade, and that person is happy with it. Your journey of entrepreneurship depends on how happy you are when you get to your destination. So if you're happy with having a sillara kade is, I don't know what you say it in English. It's a normal grocery store.
Yeah.
And if that makes you happy, why do you have to care about what anyone else is going to say?
Because at the end of the day, that's rewarding for you.
Yeah, if that's rewarding for you, if you can sit at the grocery store and just watch TikTok and just bill people and make some money, and the money you're making is also making you happy, no problem, man, go and do it. But his neighbor would have had a blueprint to build a supermarket chain. Right? So then that neighbor will not be happy having a grocery store. He'll be happy having a supermarket chain. So then everything that these two individuals are doing on a daily basis is different.
Depending on their blueprint.
Depending on their blueprint. So consistency, blueprint. The next thing is agenda. So I went CBA, it's supposed to be ABC.
That's fine.
But your agenda.
Okay.
Your agenda tells you what you need to achieve. When I say agenda, it's not the routine that you go on a daily basis. But your agenda is, if your blueprint is your vision, your agenda is your objective.
Right. Explain that a bit more.
Yes. I'm being very philosophical. But when you take your blueprint, your vision is the larger aspect of what you want to achieve. And your agenda is the small things that you need to do in order to get there.
Right.
In the initial stages of anyone's business, they should have the vision. They should have the blueprint. But they should not focus on the blueprint. Because if you focus on your blueprint, you will be too anxious. If I'm always worried about my blueprint, how am I going to do this? How am I going to achieve this? Oh my gosh, I'm so scared. I'm going to miss the small steps that I'm going to take every day.
I think that's big thing that a lot of entrepreneurs like miss out, because they have this vision and they just think about this vision. They don't put one foot in front of the other and tackle the next step.
Exactly. Spot on.
And most of the time, they don't end up doing what they want to do.
No.
Yeah.
Because they get lost along the way, because they make the wrong turns out of anxiety.
Yeah.
Because anxiety anxiety is very bad. Anxiety is something that you shouldn't have if you're an entrepreneur. But it is part and parcel in any entrepreneur's life. I mean, it's definitely something that is a part of your life.
It's part of the job role as well.
It's part of the job role.
Yeah.
How do I pay salaries? How do I manage overheads? How do I do this? How do I do that? But see, with this kind of anxiety, if you make the wrong turn, there is no time for you to come back. There have been multiple people that I know who have made the wrong decision at the right time.
Right.
Some people make the wrong decision at the right time. Some people make the right decision at the wrong time.
Got it. Okay. Yeah.
So, it's just that, honestly, I was talking to one of my really good friends whose father is a really successful, if I tell you, you will know, a very successful individual in this country. Okay? Top line. I asked him, bro, can you tell me what your father did in order to get there? And the answer that he gave me goosebumps. He said, bro, I can tell you, if it wasn't for my father, no one else would have done it. That's the first answer he gave me. And the second answer he gave me was, in his entire journey, all the spots he hit was perfectly aligned.
Right.
And that's why Mark Zuckerberg owns Facebook and not the guy who actually came up with it. That's why Jeff Bezos became a billionaire selling books. Because he started selling books. But in his journey, he made the right turns and the right decisions to be able to get to where he is today.
Yeah.
And there have been, even in my journey, even with what I'm doing, even with what I've done, there have been so many instances where if I missed the arrow a millimeter, I would have lost everything. Multiple times. Success of any entrepreneur depends on how you can hit that right spot at the right time. So you always need to be vigilant. That is why they say you have to be obsessed with what you're doing. If you're not obsessed with what you're doing, when you're sleeping, someone else will come and take what you have.
Yeah, because someone's working harder than you, someone's thinking about it more.
Always. Yeah. But if you're obsessed with what you're doing, you're going to be awake when that person is also awake. So I'm not telling people to lose sleep.
Yeah.
Please, sleep. But you need to be extremely vigilant. It's the decisions that you make and the people you hire, you recruit, your team, which is very important, and your capability to bounce back up. I tell everyone who asks me about business and anyone who comes to me with a problem in their business, I tell them, don't take the risk if you feel like you can't bounce back up. It's a lie when people tell you to take risks that you can't afford to take.
That's all the motivational posters and...
Man, the motivational videos are good.
Yeah.
Motivation is something that will last you a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Motivation will not let you do it for 5 years, will not make you do it for 5 years. It's 5 months.
Yeah. At most. Tops.
Yeah. And then it becomes discipline. And motivation will not feed your discipline. Right? Because if you're too motivated, you might kill yourself. So more than motivation, the most important thing is, just like you said, in the motivational videos, I mean, there have been a time that I've listened to all the, grind while others sleep.
Oh yeah,
5 a.m. club.
I've run through YouTube for all those.
The entire thing. There have been times that I've listened to those as well. But something that everyone says is take risks. Of course. But calculate your risk.
I think that's very, very, very extremely solid advice that people don't hear.
Exactly.
But they need to hear.
It's gold if you actually take it into consideration. You have to calculate your risk. If you want to take a risk and if you want to make a decision in any business, and if you feel like if this goes wrong, you might not be able to bounce back up and continue to do your business. It's not the risk that you should take.
Yeah, you're biting off more than you can chew.
Yeah. And it's realistic advice. It's just it's so practical. Always take risks that you can take. A punch that you can take is no problem. A punch that will kill you is a problem.
Interesting, because one of my mentors told me a long time ago, like, always stay in business. Like, no matter what, just stay in business until you can get to the point where, you can really grow it.
Yeah.
So like you said earlier, also just about surviving, making sure the risks you take are things you can manage, and then to grow the brand.
Exactly what everyone needs to do. Because the journey of being an entrepreneur is not limited to a couple of months or a couple of years. So that's what I said. There are two differences between, making a deal and being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So if you want to be a so-called entrepreneur, and if you want to call yourself an entrepreneur, entrepreneur is someone who's capable of disrupting whatever the market that is there at the moment, and at the same time who's capable of surviving. It's all about survival. I know for a fact, not trying to sound overconfident, but I will do everything in my capacity to keep surviving, to stay relevant every day.
But a lot of people don't think about entrepreneurship like that. They don't think about the word survivor when it comes to entrepreneurship.
They only think thrive.
Thrive, yeah. From day one, we're going to make money, we're going to thrive, but it's actually a grind for years before you actually get to that point.
That is not where your success is. Thriving is not your success. They say, I'm this big quote guy. I read quotes, Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant and all. They say that I've seen this quote where they say they'll see the championship or the trophy, but the hours that you put into that is something that a lot of people don't see. So the hours you put in is the survival part. The thriving part is just the trophy.
Yeah.
So your success is in that, in the previous, not in the trophy. So I feel like that is something that entrepreneurs anywhere should consider before they start, or even if they are in business at this point in time. Then all the decisions you make can change. Sometimes, if you're offering a product to a niche market and you've realized that your product is not selling because it's too expensive, some people are head on saying, I'm offering a luxury product, so I'm going to price it high and be in the niche market. There is nothing called niche market in Sri Lanka.
It's already a niche market.
It's already niche. Yeah. It's a small country. Man, you have to understand that. There's nothing called a niche market in Sri Lanka. So, I don't know, according to my opinion, maybe someone else might have a different opinion. But if you realize you're offering a luxury product at a higher price and people are not buying it, lower your margins and offer an affordable price so that you can stay in business.
I completely agree, because again, like the Sri Lanka market it's a small market. So, like you said, it's niche as it is. So.
And offer something always so that you can stay in business. You can keep running it. It's a consistent thing that you do every day.
Yeah.
It's not something you do and get out. So if you are a guy who's making a lot of money doing a job, think twice before starting a business. Because you never know.
Yeah, you don't know.
It's a golden quote that we use in business. You never know.
Yeah, you don't know. You don't know what will happen. Yeah.
So there are two things that me and my partner always use, okay? You never know. We'll do it and see.
You have to test it out and see. Until you do it, you really don't know.
So it's something that we use. It's like slang. It's like a part of our vocabulary. Yeah. Like one thing we never know. The next thing, we'll do it and see. I feel like those are the two most important
rules of business.
Yeah. But yeah, that's the truth, to be honest.
Love that answer, and honestly, there's been a awesome, insightful chat with you, Dilen. There's one last question I want to ask you. What does success mean to you?
Very hard question to answer, but I know what success means to you. One thing, before I answer that question, I want to say, if you don't know the answer to that question, that's the first thing you need to answer before starting your journey, before getting into business. Or even if you're in business at this point in time, make sure that you know the answer to that question. And the meaning of success to me is not, maybe people might say, okay, this guy sounds very philosophical and this guy sounds like something that we can't believe. But it's not only being rich. It has to be being rich. Obviously, if not, I won't be doing all these. I'll probably be like doing something else.
Yeah.
But it's not only being, when you consider being rich, it might change from person to person. But to me, being rich is being prosperous and wealthy. And being rich and wealthy are two different things. Being wealthy means you have the freedom to do whatever you want. You have the freedom to make your own decisions. You have the freedom to leave something for your future generations. And at the same time, you have I'm just giving you the aspects of what success means to me.
Yeah.
You are healthy. You have a great family that supports you. And you have the capability to take care of your parents. Okay? And you have people that look up to you. And you have the capability to share your wisdom with other people. If you take those 8 aspects into consideration, that is what success means to me. Which is why I said yes to coming and meeting you today. It's something great that you guys are doing. Sharing your knowledge, sharing someone's knowledge and their wisdom is the pinnacle of success. That is something I believe will bring out greater results than just making some money. I think of success, if I close my eyes right now, and I always do it when I'm in my shower, like I close my eyes and I imagine what it feels like to have everything that I want. If I close my eyes right now and I think of what I want in terms of success, all these aspects come into consideration. It's not just money, it's not just the car I should be driving, it's my family, it's my, something that I could leave for generations. It's something that you can do to be remembered. Maybe your great-grandchild can come and say, my great-grandfather built this. I mean, I don't know, it might sound so cliche, to be honest, to a lot of people. But it's something that everyone should have.
Yeah.
Because if you are a generational thinker, you will build a business that will keep running.
It just doesn't die out with you.
It doesn't die out with you. So that way you will be able to delegate better also. Because right now your business might be a business that's running on you. So if you think, okay, I'm going to die let's say you're 75 years old and you're worried about dying, and you can't delegate the work because it's running on you, it's not going to last for your next generation. So if you're a generational thinker, the meaning of success will change. It's not the bling and the Rolexes and the
cars and
you know how it is.
Yeah.
But I do like bling, not blink and not like in like a bad way, but
Yeah.
I love to drive a good car. I'd love to, have some nice things, and I'd love to financial freedom at the end of the day. But financial freedom comes at a cost.
There's sacrifice that has to be made.
Of course.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when you combine all of these things that I just mentioned, that is what success means to me.
And I love that answer because you didn't just talk about the wealth aspect, but I think a lot of entrepreneurs watching this probably also can learn that it comes from a lot of different factors. So it has been a really inspiring and engaging conversation. Thank you for being on the podcast, Dilen.
Thank you for having me.